Today we are going to be making some custom arrows. I got some brand new Axis 5mm match grade from Easton. I've used these arrows in the past. These are just a new build we're putting together, nothing too special, but I figured I'd go through the whole process, show you how I do it and why I do what I do. And first thing we have to do with these, they do come empty. There's nothing inside here, so we do have to put our insert in. Now to put those inserts in, we're going to be using just basically super glue. 2-part epoxy is usually really good, but I also just really like this insert iron from Bohning. So what we're going to do first is we actually want to clean the carbon shaft on the inside. There's going to be a lot of residue in there from the cuts. So just some water. You can use a little bit of cleaner if you want, but Q-tip, clean out the inside of that. Is we're going to take the little tool that Easton gives you, and we're just going to apply a little bit of glue to this, push it in with this tool. Once it's in place, we're just going to let the arrow rest flat for 24 hours. Make sure to spin as you insert. Take the tool, push in. You push in as far as you can go until it stops. That's how you know the insert's in far enough for your standard field tips or broadheads. And when you get your bare shafts, you're going to want to make sure these are cleaned before you do anything with this. So what you can do is you can just use some rubbing alcohol and rub these down. Or if you don't do a whole lot of them, these are really nice. These little clean wipes. All you have to do is rub it down, let them dry. They're good to go. Very easy cleanup. One wipe will definitely clean all dozen of my arrows. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to just rub these down, get them real clean. I'll do all dozen of them, so then I don't have to waste my wipe. Now the reason we do wipe these down and clean these is we are going to be sticking things to them, glue or stickers, and obviously that's one of the big rules of thumb. When you want to apply something with adhesive, you want a very clean surface, free of any grease. Now if you see I got these little stickers here, these are actually arrow wraps. I had these custom made. Got the Baha on them. But what we're going to be doing with these first is we're going to be putting these around the shaft underneath where the fletchings are going to go. Now the reason that we do that is from different things. Some people use them just for fun so that it looks cool, but others have a purpose. I do it for both, really. One, I can make them custom, they're mine, everyone knows these are my arrows. And two, I have white. One of the reasons I like to use white on this is because mainly my arrows are going to be for hunting. Now having white on my arrow, when I shoot an animal, the white obviously is going to make seeing blood on it easier. When you get a pass through, if there's blood on this, all the way up on this part of the arrow, it means my arrow passed through. And then being able to look at that blood on this white vinyl will really give me a good indicator on either where I hit the animal, how good my shot was, and it's going to help me either make a decision to let an animal sit longer or just have that conclusive evidence that I made a good shot, an ethical clean kill on an animal. I also, for my hunting arrows, like to use white fletchings for the same reason. Granted, white up in a tree stand, you're going to see it. It's going to be probably not as camouflage, but the pros outweigh the cons, in my opinion, to be able to see the aftermath on my arrows. Plus a bright color to my eyes, I can actually watch my arrows fly through the air better in real time with this bright white flag on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to be applying the arrow wrap to the shaft. Nothing too special with the process. We're going to peel this off, but you see here I got this mat. This mat is not just for advertising sitting here in front of me. It's actually like a mouse pad. It's a neoprene mat, so it actually has some give. And what that's going to help me with is when I put my sticker down upside down, I'm going to be able to roll my shaft across this and get good proper adhesion on everything, because having that little bit of compression is going to press your sticker on. We're going to line up how we want our arrow to be. Peel one of our arrow wrap stickers off. Lay it down. And line it up straight right with the end of the shaft next to the knock. And we're just going to roll it on. Once that's rolled on, I'm going to press right on that crease. Really rub that in. And there's our wrap. So another thing that's kind of good with these wraps is I'm going to then be gluing the fletchings onto this vinyl wrap. And with that, it means I can take the vinyl wrap off and the fletchings will come with. So if I have one tear off or a bad fletch job, I can peel this vinyl off. Usually, you might need a razor blade to peel it off. But I can peel that off and the fletchings will come with instead of the glue and the fletchings being glued directly to the shaft and me really having to work at getting the fletchings off, scraping the glue off, and possibly even hurting the carbon shaft itself. So for replacing fletchings, this also goes a long ways. Now, if you notice too, on my wrap, not just for aesthetic, but I made this top portion black. Now, where the black ends is where my fletchings will begin. So then every single arrow has the fletchings in the exact same position. So I can take out a bad fletch job as a variable of maybe why my arrows aren't flying properly. So once we have our wrap on here, obviously I'm rubbing this with my greasy fingers. So we're going to take that same wipe that we had, as long as it's still damp. We're going to wipe that down, clean that, so our veins will stick to it properly. All right, so next step in the process obviously is going to be putting our fletchings on. We have our fletching jig here. This is probably one of the most popular ones. It's all metal. This piece comes off to hold our fletchings. There's a helical curve to this, so our fletchings will actually have a helical pattern onto our shaft, help spin the arrows. And then there's markings on here, so we always know to put our fletching in here the same way every single time. This is set up for a 4-fletch, so there's actually a few dials on here to change. Every time I rotate this, it'll rotate exactly the distance I need to put my fletchings on. So what I have here, I got my super glue and this primer pen. So for these veins from AAE, these Max Stealth, they suggest priming on every single vein before you put the super glue, so it adheres better. You can buy some that are already pre-primed from the factory, so the glue actually activates it. These are not, so I have to prime them first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 4 fletchings, set them aside. And I got this primer pen here. And we're basically just going to rub down the inside of the fletching. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the arrow into the jig. What I like to do for the first one is actually see if I can possibly align my first fletch right on the seam of that vinyl wrap. Actually will help that stay. And if it doesn't line up perfectly, what I'll do is I'll put a fletching in, line it up, and I can actually twist the knock. Twist that knock position so it'll line up perfectly. So then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to see where our fletchings are going to go every time based on my little mark that I have on here. And what we can do is actually put a mark, just take a Sharpie, put a mark on the jig so you know it'll be in the same spot every time. So we're going to take the fletching, we're going to pinch it in there. And I'm going to just kind of dry fit it. So what I'm going to do Apply super glue all the way down. Smooth it out, make sure it's completely even. We're going to place it down our jig. Make sure it's all the way to the back and gently press it down onto that shaft. So we're going to leave that sit for 30 seconds to a minute. Super glue should adhere. We can take that off, rotate, and we'll do the next one. So that one's set for a little bit. I'm going to take my clamp off, pull it out of the way. We're going to rotate one click. We'll do the exact same thing with this one. Alright, so take that last one off. And there's our first fletched arrow. One little thing I like to do after I fletch my arrows, get them all built, tips on them, nocks on them, pretty much complete ready to shoot, is I do like to spin the arrows, make sure they are straight, nothing's curved, nothing's flopping around from too much weight on one part. This is not an expensive little arrow spinner. This is just something cheap, but it's really nice to do just to check, make sure your arrows are good. Even though this thing isn't going to be spinning perfectly, the wheels are not perfect, you'll know right away watching your arrow shaft if this thing is off. You watch that, you spin it, this is a very straight arrow. No issues there. So I'll do that with all my arrows, just to double check them. Pretty rare you're going to get an expensive arrow like these match grade Eastons that are going to be a little wonky, but you never know when you're building them yourself if you screw something up and can get these things really off, and then you can't figure out why your arrows are always off and not hitting your target the way they're supposed to be.